Contemplation, there is no virtue. Let's look at the initial verse. The true Dharma or the great vehicle is not a place where small vehicle practitioners can obtain any benefit. The reason is because they are not able to, not because it's not available. So the difference between availability and capability is secretly felt his strength was insufficient. Why? Because of insufficient capability arising from the strength. So his capabilities are too limited, so he could not receive this great transformation. So in a proper practice, what is this transformation that we are in? Is from obviously from humanhood to bodhisattvahood. So he believed he had no part in this, and he was accepting it was something that he and others would not be able to accept, because he thought it would be better to seek the limited teachings of the two vehicles, an emptiness, all existence as one, pleasures, and this is the part that is gravitating to either one, and it's important that therefore in this great vehicle teaching is walking the middle path. So for us, we are buried under a dust of affliction, and obviously that's been piled up over so many lifetimes that so that's why we also long time for us to remove this dust that we have piled up. So this filth that blows in from outside is something that we have not yet sought to understand, and this is important, this particular line, because the conditions in which we practice in, and the worldly winds that blow on us, and especially for us who are householders, we have to face them every day, whether at work or wherever you may be, whether you are in with a family or whether you are in with friends. So we are unaware of the dust outside of our minds, let alone the deserts far away. And when the deserts far away, imagine they look at us right now, this during time of the pandemic. Look at the trade wars which is happening right now, which is far away, right, between the US and China. So all the things will affect us. So when practitioners feel the strength is insufficient, the life is painfully short, and therefore cannot bear the responsibility of transforming sentient beings. And it's being hindered by indolence because we believe that we don't have the strength to do that. So even thought thinking is biased towards emptiness. We think all things are empty and we have removed all afflictions, and therefore we won't take to come back to reborn again. So these practitioners have not discovered the treasury of the Tathagata, which is the great vehicle, and they lack the 6 perfections or 6 parameters. So the lessons learned: bias towards emptiness of the small vehicle rely on limited wisdom. Now our life is painfully short, so therefore we cannot allow the moment to slip away, especially, and this is even in the midst of all the winds and the dust blowing at us. So imagine you're in a sandstorm, if you like, in our life. Therefore, we need to take the shelter, we take the refuge in the Dharma. So practice a great vehicle involves entering that cycle. Cycle means we have to, after attaining the bodhisattvahood, will return to come back to transform sentient beings. So that's not the end. So the efforts are ceaseless. So a spiritual aspiration must be firm, so that we can fulfill our vows of practice and give of ourselves wholeheartedly, that will give away for the sake of sentient beings. So we got to remain peaceful because it's the inner peace, and therefore our faith is unwavering, which we discussed a lot yesterday. Then we journey back to fulfill our bodhisattva vows. So on contemplation, there is no cause for fear when you understand well the cycle of life and death. And this is what Master been explaining to us, and what the bodhisattva vow is. So as one in the progressive practice, the time of this life is to be well spent in self-transformation, which is an initial verse, preparing for the higher practice in the next. So we are still not enlightened, so therefore we'll come back, we practice again at a higher level. So is it not then death becomes a reward of progress? So therefore people at the end of life shouldn't be afraid of death. So a wise spiritual practitioner embraces death as a teaching from life, reading for death that can come in any moment. And as we never know, look at the pandemic right now. So each moment becomes a practice ready for death. So how ready are you then? This is a question I ask myself. So on relationship, this is a low in a relationship. Our relationship carries a lot of responsibility, and especially with the family, and sometimes even with friends. So the steps of practice in self-growth that you undertake is a life of transformation. And the practices in self-growth is all about self-walking, putting our own efforts to grow within us. To transform this life with a good character of higher virtues and a mind of greater wisdom. So when we transform this life with a good character of higher virtues, so therefore, by the time between you when you are born and the time of when you have finished this life, we have those virtues. We make sure we increase the virtues greater than what we were born with, and that is about changing our own character. So this life has much to teach, and the mind has much to learn, and that's what we should be doing in this lifetime. And this lifespan is short, so we got to learn as much as possible and lose the mundane self, which is the mundane consciousness. And this is only alternatively, you can call it a worldly consciousness that is burdened by the load of attachment and attachment to our own ways, attention to our own thoughts, attention to self-centeredness, attaching to our own self-cherishing ways, so that we don't realize the unladen non-self, and this is what we should be, from the self to the non-self. A non-self is then free of attachments. Okay, Kanan, brother and sister, thank you. 6:35. Thank you.
Kanan so much. Yeah, Brother Chin.